Hey, Facebook, what is going on? Joe Orsak here, ready to share my thoughts for the day, because, that's what I do. Be sure to hop on, say hello, let me know you're here. And we're gathering folks right now as we speak, waiting for folks to hop on. So be sure to say hello once you get on the feed, so I know that you're here. And we're going to dig in and share some important steps today. Top 4 wealth creation steps. I think it's a pretty important subject, don't you? What does it mean to generate wealth? Are you generating the wealth that you want to generate? Are you where you want to be financially? Are you taking steps to change where you're at if you're not presently where you want to be? These are the things that need to be discussed. You ever wonder why they don't teach that stuff in school? I don't know why we don't teach more important subjects in school. I think we've gotten lost on what is important and what we really need to know and understand in school. But anyway, that's kind of a side thought. I see one person's hopped on. Be sure to say hello when you get here. Anyway, we are talking about the top 4 wealth creation steps and what you can do to get on the path to generating wealth. I always like to know I got one person tuning in that so I can see if the video is working good, and if the video is working good, and if I've got sound and that sort of thing going on, because I never know. Hey, I see Rick. Rick, what is going on, man? Let me know if you hear everything okay, if it sounds good, that sort of thing. And I'm about to launch off into the subject here and share my thoughts on the top 4 steps to generating wealth. And I think this is a super important subject. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate the comment. We're gonna dig in and check this out, man. I can put your comment up on the screen, man. How you like that? I like that. So if you have a question, man, be sure to pose it, or if you have a comment, be sure to pose it as well, because I like adding it up on the screen. But we're going to dig in, man. I'm talking about the top 4 wealth creation steps. A question that I like to ask is, let's see, did I put it up on the screen? Where's it at? The question I always like to ask is, what is your job? What is your job description? Are you in sales? And I always like asking this when I'm doing I'm giving a talk or sharing my thoughts, in a live setting, because I like asking myself the question in the room so everybody can see the hands go up. And I say, are you in sales? And the reason why I like asking that is because a lot of people don't raise their hands. And it's always fascinating to me, because my thought is that everybody is in sales. Everybody is in sales. And not everybody seems to get that. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life, you are in sales. All right. So the first thing that I tell everybody that you need to do in order to be on the path to wealth creation is choose to learn sales. Recruiter, connector of people. You're in sales. Man, everybody is in sales. Everybody is in sales. You're always selling. You're always selling. You're selling your boss on why you're a good employee and need a raise. You're selling that spouse, or soon-to-be spouse, convincing that soon-to-be spouse that you're the catch, that they should marry. You're selling to your kids that there's a way to live, and that they need to act a certain way and grow up to be the kind of kids that you're encouraging them to be. You are always, always, always selling. So the first important step that you can take into real wealth generation is choose to learn sales. I hate the idea that people say, he's a born salesman. No, nobody's a born anything, right? You may have natural wiring that will, direct you one way or another in life that makes you more adaptive to a certain job or position or whatever else. But nobody is a born anything. And I actually believe that even talent itself, natural talent, is a myth, because you name any child prodigy, and very commonly people mention people like Tiger Woods, Mozart, people in your minds that as really young kids, they were off the charts, unbelievably gifted. Mozart wrote his first piece at 6, performed his first symphony at 9. Tiger Woods was like 2 years old, like already putting into holes and stuff. Amazing, right? But what did they all have in common? Well, by the time Mozart was 9, he already had over 10,000 hours of practice, and he had a coach who was in a position to teach him. So the idea that there are child prodigies is a myth. Tiger Woods, same thing. By the time Tiger Woods was 6 years old, he had already logged thousands of hours of practice, and his dad was a professional golfer, or golfing coach, golf instructor. So it's not accidental that people are talented. It's not something that you're born with. Again, I'm not shooting down the idea that you may have wiring that predisposes you to a certain career, certain ability, skill set, that type of thing. But the person who is willing to commit to learn that trade and who is willing to log the hours and put in the work is always, always, always going to outperform the naturally talented person who's lazy, right? Will Smith does a lot of motivational videos and talking and that sort of thing. Check him out. I recommend him, the actor Will Smith. And he said there was one reason why he became successful. He said, "I will outwork you every day of the week." He said, "I was learning lines to movies I hadn't gotten the role to. While his friends were out at clubs partying, he was at home in his little bitty apartment with scripts, memorizing scripts, practicing lines for movies he didn't even have the role for, just honing his craft, becoming good at what he wanted to be." And so I will tell you that the first step that you can really focus on that will have the biggest impact in your career towards wealth generation and building wealth is choosing to learn sales. It is something that you can learn. You can study the craft of sales, and you can absolutely get better at it. You can become more adept. You can become more skilled at answering objections and overcoming objections. You can actually become better at closing. And I'm not talking about cheesy stuff. I trained with the Sandler organization for a good while and learned a tremendous amount from them. I hate the goofy little formulaic stuff on feel, felt, found. Don't get me wrong. Some of these things are timeless classics. Well, when you're given an objection, well, many of my customers have, I understand you feel that way. Many of my clients have felt that way before, but here's what they found, right? Now, you use these little formulaic ways to close. I'm talking about learning real sales skills that teach you a method to better serve the needs of your clients, right? When you do that, you're really on your way to mastering sales. And when you're on your way to mastering sales, you are on your way to real wealth generation, because I promise you, no matter what you do, you're going to need sales, no matter what you do. It's one of the best tools that you can really learn in life. Choose to learn sales. That's number one on the top of the list. Number two, I will tell you, choose entrepreneurship. All right. There's nothing wrong with being an employee. Nothing. Right. I have employees. I have great employees. The world needs great employees. Abso-freaking-lutely. But I will tell you that in building real wealth, it's very, very difficult to build substantial wealth being an employee. It's not that it can't be done. It's just difficult. Challenging. I will tell you that for me, a far better course to building real long-term wealth is to be an entrepreneur. Own your own business. Have a problem that you just love solving, right? this is something that I highly recommend. I taught my kids, when my kids ask me about being in business, and both of them kind of have an entrepreneurial spirit. They get it from dad. I will tell you that my answer to them of what it meant to be in business or what it meant to be an entrepreneur simply was, I found a problem I couldn't stand not solving, right? That's what it means to be an entrepreneur to me, is that, I look around the world around me and I said, here's a problem. I really want to solve it. I really want to be a part of solving this issue. And that's the way my mind works. And I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, if you help enough people, if you solve enough people's problems, then it was, I'm butchering the quote now, solve a big enough problem for a large enough set number of people, and you can't help but be wealthy. It's a formula for wealth generation, right? Choose to be an entrepreneur and choose something that and choose something that's a big enough problem for a large enough number of people, and you can't help become wealthy. Rick said this is the golden age of the entrepreneur. I don't know if I coined that. The golden age of the entrepreneur. You know what? I mean, now more than ever, we have so many platforms, so many angles or avenues to market ourselves. We have technology. What I'm doing right now used to not be possible. I mean, I had to hire videographers and, professional studios, all that kind of stuff. But now, click of a button, I get to go live on a social media platform where literally thousands of people can tune in, and I can do it for free or practically for free with just the purchase of a camera and some basic equipment. It's some amazing stuff that you can do nowadays. Yet we have opportunity all around us, and people still don't pursue entrepreneurship. They don't pursue solving problems. They wake up and do their 9 to 5, go home and unplug, and they plug their mind into the boob tube and tune out for 5 hours a day. That's where we're at in our society. The average American watches 5 hours a day. I will tell you that you have to work. It's work. It's hard work, and people don't want to do it, which is why most people aren't wealthy. So I'm telling you, number 1 is to choose sales. Number 2 is to choose entrepreneurship, right? Now, here's an interesting question. All right, this is really a critical, I mean, these are all critical, honestly. You have to learn how to sell, you got to become an entrepreneur. But this is a critical pivot, because I kind of alluded to it when I was talking about solve a big enough problem for a large enough number of people, and you can't help but become wealthy. You can focus on solving small problems for a small set of people, and you are an entrepreneur, you're just not going to be wealthy, right? My daughter, for instance, loves mice and rats, and she raises them and breeds them and all this kind of stuff. But there's not that many people willing to spend that much money on mice and rats, right? So she has a very small market that she can appeal to in building her business of selling mice and rats. So it's a good experience for her. She's learning some skills in being an entrepreneur that are critical for her, and it's a good place to start. I sold snow cones when I was a kid, right? And that was my first business, and I had my first employee at a snow cone stand. That's where I experienced hiring and firing for the first time. So it's great places to start, but choose the right platform. No, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Choose the right industry. Choose the right industry. I will tell you, I'm sorry, I kind of gave away my number 4 here, but I will tell you that choosing the right industry is a critical step in real wealth generation. And it can go a number of different ways, right? I will tell you that, like, we have, if you look at population sets, we all know that the baby boomers were the largest generation. Now the millennials have replaced them. They're the ripple effect of millennials having children. We actually have more millennials than we do baby boomers, but still, you've got like 76 million-ish baby boomers that are 50 to 60 something right now, 50 to 64 or something like that. And then you've got like 86 million 20 to 34-year-olds. that we call millennials. They're the largest group. I will tell you, choose the right industry, and that will play a big part in your wealth generation. It's just positioning yourself to solve a problem for a larger set of people, right? So I keep saying that. That's very, very important. I chose 3 years ago. I was in for the prior decade. I was in a credit-related industry as an entrepreneur, and we built a multi-million-dollar business with my two business partners. And 3 years ago, we said, how can we offset, or how can we spread out, to different other opportunities to offset industry changes and fluctuations in the market and all this sort of thing? How can we diversify as entrepreneurs? And they chose to go into digital media, social media marketing at Spoken About, which I'm a partner in, but I'm not involved in the day-to-day operation. But social media marketing, obviously positioning themselves to be in front of and solve the problem for a lot of people. A lot of people need to, and help understanding how to market on social media. It's brand new, really. I mean, when you think about it, Facebook came out, what was it, 2006, 2004, something like that. We're barely talking an industry that's a decade old. And they were really still trying to figure out how they were going to make money and all this kind of stuff. It really wasn't until the last so many years that they kind of dialed in their business model. And now, how do you take advantage of it? Well, that's a great move to go into. That's a great example of an industry positioning yourself at the forefront of a need, right, for a large number of people. I chose to go into an industry that's a very old industry. It's been around for forever. I opened up a life insurance agency, so financial services business. Again, looking at we have a huge generation of people, 50 to 64, who need help retiring. They're working on retirement, and then the ripple of them, the Gen Xers and the millennials. The millennials need help understanding money. They need help preparing for retirement. Massive group, right? And so that's why I went that direction. So choosing the right industry, positioning yourself to be able to solve a problem for a large enough audience is a very important step in wealth generation. And then choose the right platform. This is the last of the four steps here in generating long-term wealth. Why is this important? Well, whatever industry you're working in, you have to have something that allows you to be a market differentiator, something that sets you apart. You don't want to go into an industry that's really overcrowded without a way to separate yourself, to set yourself apart. Otherwise, you just become static. You just become more noise in the industry. And I'll give you an example. Mattress Mac, he has his thing that sets him apart, right? Gallery Furniture. His thing that set him apart for 30 plus years that he's been in business was same day delivery. Nobody else was doing it. And there's really still only, I think, rooms to go. I could be wrong, maybe doing a same day delivery if I understand correctly. But I mean, super limited on the number of people who actually try to compete in that arena. And he told me, he goes, Joe, you know why? Because it's damn hard. That's what he told me, right? I actually had the opportunity to mentor with him, and I worked very closely with him for 2 years. And he was an inspiration in my life. And so you have to position yourself in Well, that was crazy. I don't know what happened there. We just lost connection. There we are. All right. Sorry, I was trying to communicate, let everybody know we were back. That was bizarre. Sorry about that, guys. Um, anyway, finishing up this last point, market differentiation. In order to generate real wealth, you have to have market differentiation. You have to have something that sets you apart from everybody else. Otherwise, you're just static. I gave the example, Gallery Furniture, Mattress Mac. His thing was same-day delivery. Because he had same-day delivery, he separated himself from all the other furniture stores. Consequently, he blew up, right? For me, in the financial services industry, I was talking about price, and price is a tough thing to differentiate on, right? I will tell you that I have this as a broker. I broker through all these different companies, 50 plus companies, but I've talked to other financial professionals, and here's the key. It's hard work because, yeah, my system will pull quotes from all these different people, but it's about matching the individual to the right company. And that's where the price really comes in that I've never been beat on a quote. I've gotten twice since I've been doing this, somebody who came within a dollar, right? Under, like, you know, within a dollar. Generally speaking, I'm about 30% less expensive than my competition when it comes to my life insurance products. At least 30%. I've had half price, like literally cut the price in half for some people, because it's understanding how to find the right company. Because all the life insurance companies that I work with, all of them, they all have profiles of customers that they look for. Like, you know, this guy is a smoker. Okay, well, there's certain companies that like smokers more than other companies. This guy has, you know, high blood pressure, whatever. It's matching the individual to the company. And so that takes a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. And a lot of people don't want to mess with that, right? They give you a quote and that's, there you go. So anyway, that's how I've, you know, set myself apart. I've also had an angle inside this, and that's understanding how scholarships work with college. What's that got to do with life insurance, Joe? Well, when you're planning on sending your kids to college, I've got a whole video on this on the 529 plan. Basically, colleges get to look at all of your finances. There's literally only just like 2 places where you can put money that it still remains liquid, that you can pull it out whenever you want, that the colleges don't get to see and don't get to ask about. It's not even included in the form. In fact, if you read the instructions, it will tell you not to include money that is in cash value life insurance and IRAs, right? Retirement funds. And for that reason, life insurance makes a really, really powerful way to save for college, to maximize getting scholarships and that sort of thing. So I'm not trying to go off on, you know, a deep tangent on this point here, but to give you an example, right? I spent 2 years working with an organization called the College Money Guys, so that I could better learn how the whole college scholarship plan process works, so that I can help parents position themselves better to receive more free money from college, which is solving the problem of retirement. Every dollar you don't have to put into a college's pocket to send your kids through is a dollar you get to save for retirement, right? And that's a big freaking deal. So anyway, I really try to position myself uniquely by creating market differentiation for myself, and through that choosing the right platform, this last point here, right? So those are 4 critical steps in building long-term wealth, right? Number 1, learn to sell, right? I'm going back here and trying to show the steps here, and I checked the wrong button. Number 1, learn to sell. Choose to learn to sell. It's a process. You absolutely can learn. You can get better at it. And no matter what you're doing, I promise you in life, even if you're not an entrepreneur or you have no desire to be an entrepreneur, learn to sell, and it will absolutely help you in life. Number 2, choose entrepreneurship. Learn what it means to be in business. And don't just, you know, hang a shingle and say you're an entrepreneur. We don't need any more crappy businesses, right? I have a pet peeve with the real estate community, in that the vast majority of them one, are broke, and why are they broke? Because they don't answer the phone. They don't answer. Like, if you're in business, somebody should answer your phone, right? You should have someone always answering your phone. If you just let it ring and go to voicemail, and you're going to call people back randomly, whatever, you're not really in business to me, right? Answer your phone. That's a little thing. Choose to be an entrepreneur. Study the craft of building a business. Just like studying sales, study the craft of building business. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? There's great books out there on that subject. One that I highly recommend is called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Great basic understanding tool for building entrepreneurship. Highly recommend that book. Choose the right industry. This is one where I believe you can really make a smart choice by choosing to go into business in an industry that has a big need, right? Solve a big enough problem for a large enough number of people, and you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money, right? For me, financial services, the baby boomers needed help with retirement, and the millennials need help planning for retirement, right? Actually understanding how money works. And then the last thing was choose the right platform. By this, I mean, give yourself the means to differentiate yourself from your competition. You've got to have some way to set yourself apart. So choosing the right platform is one of those steps or methodologies in allowing yourself to build market differentiation. So that's it, guys. Hopefully that was some useful information for you. And I'm going to be doing this on the regular now, trying to share some ideas on entrepreneurship, because I think that's a problem that America needs to solve. Somebody just bumped the wall and like my whole desk vibrated. Anyway, and good timing. So I will catch you guys next week, Monday. See you.